I know you all heard of this operating system before. Have you guessed it? If you said this is Windows XP, and you're right. So yeah, today we are discussing why Windows XP and older operating systems are so insecure. So yeah, you know Windows XP, it's a good operating system, but it is widely criticized for its security problems. Why this operating system is so insecure even 1 year after launch? First of all, it doesn't only exclusively apply to Windows XP, it also applies on older Windows versions too, like Windows 2000 or Windows 9X. But Windows XP and older lacks many security stuffs. Here are my common theories why this operating system is just so insecure. Well, here are theories that might be the possible reason why Windows XP, and not just Windows XP but older Windows versions, are insecure. Number 1, lack of driver signing requirements. So if we are talking about 2007 or onwards, drivers must be signed first before it can run on Windows. VALP driver signature requirements were first introduced in Windows Vista, while users can temporarily disable it by selecting Disable Driver Signature Enforcement on the boot manager, but this is a crucial Windows security feature. So what does driver signing mean for the first place? Driver signing means is when a driver package was created, it has its own signature. Every drivers created in 2007 and onwards have their own driver signature. But this is not a case for Windows XP, which came out in 2001. In Windows Vista it is mandatory you have drivers signed, otherwise it will fail to load, unless if the user enables the option Disable Driver Signature Enforcement from the boot menu. This isn't always the case, because sometimes even if you enable the Disable Driver Signature Enforcement option, it still has errors for some drivers. So here we are on theory number 1. No driver signature enforcement. Now here we are on theory number 2. Alright, here we are on theory number 2, lack of built-in antivirus. I am pretty much sure you all heard about antivirus before. While there has been a built-in antivirus for Windows, and that's known as Windows Defender. But Windows Defender isn't included on Windows XP by default, and Windows Defender isn't a thing yet, not until 2006. However, it is available for download for Windows XP systems. So yeah, you know what I am saying about, while users can easily download their own antivirus software. But having an antivirus on a computer is always important, as this detects and removes viruses on our computers. However, we should also update our antivirus software also. So while that being said, users can download antivirus software for Windows XP, but it's still criticized for its insecurities. However, here's the catch. While the operating system security can improve through service packs and updates, but it couldn't guarantee you will have perfect zero viruses. Although other versions do the same, but again it doesn't guarantee you will be safe to virus 100%, but at least it can make your computer much secure and immune to those viruses. Alright, we are pretty much done on theory number 2. Now here we go to theory number 3. Theory number 3, lack of integrity checks in the operating system. Integrity checks detects if the operating system has been modified or not. In fact, integrity checks were introduced in Windows 8. One which checks the certificates of important core files such as Shell32, DLL, if they are intact or not. If the certificate has been invalidated because the file was modified, the operating system will not continue to boot as a result of a bug check or blue screen of death. In Windows XP to Windows 8 original release, there is no integrity checks, so that means even if a such system file was modified, it will continue to boot. While this makes Windows XP much customizable, but it also allows malwares that replaces system files into infected ones to execute. Although Windows XP and onwards have a system file checker, but it's a different story. System file checker only replaces system files that were modified. In theory it should prevent programs that replaces system files from running, but it's not 100% because it will only work if the user executes the sfc commands. So yeah, we are pretty much done with theory number 3, now we have theory number 4, anti-DVM. What is anti-DVM? Anti-DVM stands for Anti-Virtual DOS Machine, which is a built-in virtual machine on Windows XP 32-bit or on any Windows 32-bit operating systems, so this isn't pretty much a Windows XP exclusive honestly. While anti-DVM allows you to run older programs made in MS-DOS, but it poses a security risks as 16-bit programs were no longer actively developing. Anti-DVM was removed in Windows XP 64-bit and on Windows 64-bit operating systems, so if you have a 64-bit Windows then you don't have anti-DVM. Okay, now we are done in theory number 4, now let's go with theory number 5. Theory number 5. The first user login goes to session 0 instead of session 1, which makes Windows operating system, all services run in the same session as the first user who logs on. However, this poses a major security risk because user applications and core services are running together in the same session 0, as services run at an elevated privilege. This makes malware attacks much damaging than it should. In Windows Vista, this flaw was fixed by isolating session 0, if a user logs on in Windows Vista and newer the session 1 was created. While this mitigated the security risks, but it breaks some legacy applications that are designed to run in session 0. Interactive Services Detection Service was created for these applications designed to run in session 0. However, in Windows 10 version 1803, Interactive Services Detection Service was removed to increase security. Alright, now we are done discussing the 5 theories I suspected. Now I have a bonus with Windows XP being insecure. The official support for Windows XP ended in 8th of April 2014. However, its Windows Embedded POSReady2009 counterpart support ended in 9th of April 2019. So that means there is no more security updates for Windows XP to patch those vulnerabilities. So here we are. Before I close this discussion, here are some tips I have to make Windows XP secure, even though it's considered insecure, but there are ways to make it much secure. First of all, install an antivirus. Antivirus programs remove malware from your computer. Second, use standard accounts with no administrator access. Administrator accounts have more control, but that also means malware can do more damage than non-standard accounts. Third, install a firewall. As always, we need a firewall. Fourth, be aware of the websites you browse on the internet. And lastly, you can use My Pal browser, which is a much recently updated browser for Windows XP and legacy systems instead of Internet Explorer 8. Alright, this was a long discussion anyways, goodbye and see you next time guys. It's me, Kayden David, signing off. Goodbye.